They say silence is peaceful. That's a lie. Silence is loud when it's the kind that's planned. I didn't realize I'd been cut off until the second week of December. The group chat we used to call the Collins crew had gone eerily quiet. No memes. No birthday reminders. No "Mom's stew is ready, y'all better come hungry." Nothing. First I thought it was a glitch. I even sent a gif of Mariah Carey in a Santa suit, singing, "All I Want for Christmas Is You," with a caption, "Who's bringing the eggnog this year?" Got no response. Not even from Tina, my younger sister, who usually answers with something chaotic like, "I'm making jungle juice this year. God help us all." Nothing. That's when the cold set in, and I don't mean the weather. Before we dive in, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below letting us know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. We're excited to connect with all of you, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing content. Now back to the story. My name is Maya Collins. I'm 32. And for the past 7 years, I've paid the mortgage on my mother's house, our house. I'm the eldest child, the fixer, the one everyone calls when life goes sideways. I'm also the one they decided they didn't need this Christmas. I guess I should have seen it coming. Growing up in the south side of Atlanta, things were always tight. Dad left when I was 10. No note. No explanation. Just his blue work boots by the door and silence from then on. Mom did her best, but best was sometimes just getting us through the day without the lights going out. I became the second adult in the house before I was old enough to drive. I cooked, cleaned, made sure Tina and Marcus got to school, and even worked a part-time job at the library once I turned 16. I shelved books while my classmates were getting ready for prom. College was supposed to be my way out. And it was. Until it wasn't. Mom got sick during my sophomore year. High blood pressure, complications, bills piling up. I dropped out of Spelman, came home, and never looked back. I've never resented that decision. At least I didn't think I did. Till now. Last year, Christmas was beautiful. I decorated the whole house in gold and cranberry tones. I hand-wrapped gifts. I paid for a catered dinner from Miss Angie's kitchen, so Mom didn't have to lift a finger. Tina showed up 3 hours late wearing a fake fur jacket like she'd walked off a Tyler Perry set, and Marcus brought his new girlfriend who pretended not to know who I was, despite me funding half his community college tuition. Still I smiled. Still I poured the wine and led the prayer. But this year they planned Christmas without me. It was a Thursday afternoon when my phone finally rang. I was at work, in the back office of the community clinic where I serve as a patient coordinator. I just helped an elderly man register for his insulin prescription when I saw the name flash across my screen. Mom. I took a breath before answering. "Hey, Mama." Her voice was clipped, rehearsed. "Maya. I won't keep you long." Already my chest tightened. I wanted to let you know that we've decided not to do the big Christmas this year. Just too much. Too stressful. Blink. Okay. That's fine. We can keep it small. Just us. She cleared her throat. No. We've talked. Me, Tina, Marcus. And we all agreed. It's better if you don't come. Silence. I waited for the laugh. The just playing girl. That never came. You're not serious, I finally said. I am, she replied. You always make things feel heavy. Like we owe you something. We just want a light Christmas this year. I swallowed hard. I've paid the mortgage for 7 years, Mama. I paid for the new roof. For your surgery. I never asked for a thank you. You didn't have to, she said almost coldly. But it's the way you look at us. Like we're burdens. It's exhausting. I couldn't breathe. My mouth went dry. So you talked about me. All of you. We all agreed, she said, the phrase echoing like a curse. You're not welcome this year. She hung up before I could say another word. That night I didn't cry. Not right away. I sat on the floor of my apartment, lights off, laptop glowing with a monthly mortgage invoice I'd been paying religiously. $1,872.43, without fail. I clicked through the statements. 7 years. 84 months. Over $157,000. All of it from my checking account to my mother's. My name. Nowhere on the deed. Not even as a co-signer. I'd never noticed before. I trusted them. I thought it was our home. I was wrong. I didn't go to work the next day. I stayed home, stared at the blinking cursor in an unsent email I typed to Tina. It started with, "How could you?" and ended with, "I hope it was worth it." I never sent it. Instead, I called my bank. "Hi, I'd like to cancel a recurring transfer." "Yes, it's for a mortgage." "No, I don't own the home." Later that week, I walked into a thrift store and bought a tiny Christmas tree for $15. I decorated it with old earrings and paper stars I cut from magazine pages. It looked nothing like the grand tree back home, but it was mine. My peace started as a whisper. It came in waves. Cooking just for me, sleeping in on weekends, lighting a cinnamon candle without worrying about someone saying it smelled too strong. I even started journaling again, something I hadn't done since high school. My first entry. They told me I wasn't welcome. So I made space for myself. The part that hurt the most wasn't the betrayal. It was realizing how easily I had let myself be invisible. How often I had reduced myself to a role. Provider, fixer, dependable older daughter, until there was nothing left for me. I gave, and when I had nothing more to offer but my presence, they decided I wasn't worth the trouble. Let that sink in. I was welcome when I was paying. Not when I was simply being. Christmas Eve came with rain that tapped on the windows like a quiet reminder. This year is different. I made hot chocolate, curled up in a fuzzy blanket, and watched a bad holiday movie with actors I didn't recognize. It was perfect. I didn't even check my phone. The next morning, a single text waited. From Tina. "Hope you're happy. We had to cancel dinner. No heat. Furnace broke." I read it twice. Smile. Not because they were cold, but because for once, it wasn't my job to save them. When I was little, I used to believe that love was about sacrifice. Now I know better. Love is not bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. The letter from the bank arrived 2 weeks after Christmas. A plain white envelope, slightly crumpled, slid under my door like a quiet bomb. I recognized the logo instantly. I didn't open it right away. I made tea first, peppermint, and sat by the window watching the sky darken into early January gray. When I finally tore the envelope open, the words danced on the page, both damning and divine. "We have not received your monthly mortgage payment for the property at 217 Goldfinch Road. This is a final reminder before initiating foreclosure proceedings." I read the sentence 3 times. Then folded the letter neatly and placed it beside my untouched tea. 217 Goldfinch Road. The house I spent 7 years funding. The house where I folded laundry, painted walls, held my niece when she was born, nursed my mother back to health. The house I wasn't welcome in anymore. I suppose some part of me expected to feel guilt. But I didn't. Not a shred. I felt something far more dangerous. Satisfaction. Let them feel what it's like to live without me. The day after Christmas, I'd blocked Tina on WhatsApp. Her message about the broken furnace was still there, unread. I didn't need to read it. I already knew the tone. Passive-aggressive with a sprinkle of guilt. Marcus sent a DM on Instagram with a half-baked apology. They didn't mean it that way. "Come on, Maya, it was just a misunderstanding." Mom was stressed. I blocked him too. Because here's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It's rarely the words that destroy you. It's the calculation. The whispering behind your back. The shared decision. The fact that they planned a holiday knowing you would be alone and didn't care. The fact that they voted me out of a house I bought, just because I made them uncomfortable with their own entitlement. By New Year's Eve, I'd begun something I hadn't done in years. Reclaiming my time. Got up early. Went for walks. I applied for a grant-writing position at a non-profit for women recovering from domestic and financial abuse. When the HR director asked what inspired me to apply, I said, "I've learned a lot about being used and discarded. I think that qualifies me." She laughed and offered me the job on the spot. I started seeing a therapist too. Her name was Patrice. Middle-aged, locks, no nonsense. The kind of woman who looks at you and sees the version of yourself you haven't met yet. I told her everything. The missed birthdays. The manipulation. The way my mother would sometimes forget. I was the one paying the bills and complain about how no one helps her. How she'd praise Tina's Instagram hair business, even though I was the one covering her credit card debt. How Marcus once crashed my car and didn't offer to fix it, but still expected me to co-sign his student loan. When I told Patrice about the Christmas call, she didn't flinch. She leaned forward and said, "So they uninvited you from a party you paid for." That was the first time I laughed in weeks. It was also the moment I realized I had to let the house go. Not out of revenge. Out of self-respect. The foreclosure notice came in mid-January. I didn't read that one either. My therapist had advised me not to fixate on the paperwork. You're not the owner. You're not liable. The mortgage was never in your name. That was their choice. Let them deal with the fallout of that decision. And they did. By January 28th, I got a call from a strange number. I let it go to voicemail. The message was brief and bitter. My mother. "I hope you're proud of yourself. The bank is taking the house. Marcus is living in his car. Tina has nowhere to go. We're staying at a motel on Crescent Avenue. You got what you wanted." I replayed the message twice. Not once did she say thank you. Not once did she say sorry. Instead, she wanted me to feel bad for their suffering, as if I hadn't suffered in silence for years. As if I hadn't skipped vacations, delayed my own dental surgery, worked overtime through migraines just to make sure they had heat in the winter. As if my absence was cruelty and not survival. I didn't respond. 1 week later, Tina showed up at the clinic. She wasn't on the patient list. She just walked in, bold as brass, wearing dark sunglasses and a tracksuit like she was in a movie about betrayal. "Maya," she said, loud enough for the receptionist to look up. I stepped outside not because I owed her anything, but because I needed her to see my face. Unapologetic. She didn't waste time. "You could have told us you stopped paying. You blindsided everyone." I tilted my head. Didn't think I had a voice in family decisions. Remember. We all agreed. She had the audacity to look offended. That was Mom's idea. We didn't really mean. I held up my hand. "Save it. You meant it enough to sit silently on the call." She swallowed. "Look, things are bad. The motel is. It's not safe. And Mom's health is getting worse. She should call her other children," I said evenly. "The ones who agreed." "Maya," her voice cracked. "We were stupid." "Okay. Sorry. But can't you just help us this once?" I looked her in the eye. I did help. For 7 years. I just finally stopped. She flinched like I'd slapped her. "Don't come here again, Tina," I said. "This is my space now." I turned and walked back inside, heart pounding, but with my spine straighter than it had ever been. That night, I lit my cinnamon candle and watched the city lights blink in the distance. My apartment wasn't fancy, but it was clean, quiet. For dinner, I made pasta with garlic bread and poured a glass of wine. Ate slowly. For once, no one asked me for anything. No emergencies. No guilt. Just peace. I opened my journal and wrote. There is power in withholding what once came freely. Power in letting people face the silence they created. In February, the house officially foreclosed. I saw the listing online. Bank-owned property. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Needs work. They'd listed it for half of what I'd poured into it. I stared at the screen for a full 10 minutes. Not because I wanted the house back, but because I finally understood what I had done. I had walked away from a trap disguised as tradition. Had chosen myself. And for the first time in my adult life, no one could punish me for that. They'd tried. But I didn't break. Not when they excluded me. Not when they blamed me. Not even when they lost everything I once carried for them. One Friday afternoon, Patrice asked me, "If they apologized genuinely, would you let them back in?" Pause. Then I said, "Forgiveness isn't the same as reunion. I might forgive them, but I won't unlearn what they taught me." And what they taught me was this: some families will build a life on your sacrifice, then blame you for the cracks in the walls. Some mothers will love the control more than the child. And sometimes the most radical form of healing is leaving the door locked. By March, the house was gone. I didn't drive by. I didn't need to. I imagined the foreclosed sign on the lawn, flapping in the breeze like a final slap. Goldfinch Road no longer had a hold on me. They'd moved out quietly. No final plea, no dramatic apology. Just gone like I'd been on Christmas Eve. But even freedom can be lonely. There were mornings I woke up and reached for my phone, fingers twitching to check the group chat that no longer existed. Moments I almost dialed Mom's number just to hear her voice. Muscle memory is cruel like that. It remembers even what doesn't serve you. Then one Thursday evening I saw her. The grocery store. Hair wrapped in a scarf. Same red winter coat she always wore when it got too cold. She looked smaller. Not physically, just diminished. As if her pride had been folded up and stuffed into her purse. We locked eyes by the produce section. She hesitated. I didn't. Kept walking. I didn't owe her a scene, or a speech, or another inch of my spine. Spring came slowly, but it came. My apartment was filled with plants now. Sunflowers, snake plants, little basil pots lined against the window like quiet soldiers guarding my peace. I named them. That's how alone I'd become. And weirdly, how alive I felt. My job at the nonprofit was going better than I ever expected. I worked with women who had lived through worse. Women who'd been locked in toxic marriages, kicked out by religious parents, or financially abused by relatives who claimed it was tradition. I saw myself in them. And for the first time I didn't feel ashamed of that. One woman, Esther, had spent 10 years working 2 jobs for a husband who stashed all her earnings into his account and then left her with nothing but a suitcase. She cried when I helped her secure housing. "Why are you so kind?" she asked, wiping her tears. "Because I know what it's like," I said. "To give everything and still be told you don't belong." On my 33rd birthday in April, I threw myself a party. Just 5 people. Colleagues, my neighbor Patricia, and my therapist who showed up with a hummingbird cake and a laugh that filled my living room like sunlight. We toasted to peace, to boundaries, to new beginnings. No family. No guilt. Later that night I sat by the window, barefoot, birthday candles flickering on half-melted frosting. My phone buzzed. Message. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. "Happy birthday. I know I have no right, but I miss you. Marcus." I stared at it. Could have replied. I could have let the door crack open. But I'd learned something in the months since they exiled me. Love without respect is just manipulation in costume. 2 weeks later I got a letter. Not a text. Not a voicemail. Real letter. My name written in cursive on the envelope. Inside a card. No flowers. No apology. Just a note. "Maya, I don't know who I am without your support. I know we failed you. I don't know how to fix it. But I want to start. Mom." That was the moment the tears came. Not out of pain. Out of release. She didn't ask for money. Or help. Or pity. Just acknowledgement. And yet I didn't call. I folded the letter and placed it in a box with the rest of my memories. The ones that shaped me. Not because I wanted to forget, but because I needed to remember who I was before the weight of being needed crushed me. In May, I stood in front of the old house. Not because I missed it. 'Cause I needed to see it one last time. It had been painted over, badly. The shutters hung unevenly. The roses I planted along the fence were wilted. A "for sale" sign leaned crooked near the mailbox. I didn't walk up to the porch. I didn't need to. I just stood there, letting the breeze lift my curls, letting the silence wrap around me. Not like a noose this time, but a blanket. Behind me kids played. Life continued. And so did I. I went home to my small apartment, lit my favorite candle, and posted something simple on my status. Sometimes walking away isn't giving up. It's giving back what never belonged to you. No names, no shade, just truth. I didn't care if they saw it, but part of me hoped they did. By June I was thriving. I'd saved enough to start a travel fund. Booked a solo trip to Sedona. My first vacation in nearly 8 years. No one to plan around. No one to cancel for. Just me. On the flight I thought about the last 7 Christmases. The way I'd sacrificed joy for duty. How I'd walked on eggshells just to be included in rooms I'd built with my own hands. And how they shattered it with a single sentence. We all agreed, "You're not welcome." They thought they were excluding me from the party. They didn't realize they were handing me the invitation to freedom. There is a particular kind of revenge that doesn't scream. It doesn't storm in or burn bridges. It doesn't demand acknowledgement. It simply thrives. Quietly. Undeniably. Fully. And that's what I became. Not out of spite. Not out of hatred. But out of necessity. On Christmas Eve 1 year later I hosted a dinner. 10 guests. Friends I'd made. Women I'd helped. A few of their kids. Giggling and running around my living room in matching pajamas. I served roasted chicken, spiced rice, sautéed vegetables, and homemade pie. We held hands before we ate, each person saying one thing they were grateful for. When it came to me, I said, "I'm grateful for closed doors. Because they teach you how to build new homes." Everyone clapped. Somewhere in the city, I imagined my family in someone else's living room. Maybe they were fine. Maybe they weren't. But I didn't need to know. Because for once in my life, I wasn't waiting to be invited. I had created the table. And it was full. If you've ever been the backbone of a family who forgot your worth, if you've ever been shut out of a room you built with your own hands, let this be your reminder. You don't need their invitation to be whole. Hit like if this story spoke to you. Subscribe for more real, raw stories that remind you, you're not alone. And in the comments, tell me, what would you do if the people you loved shut the door on you?